Hello Team FD and welcome back to Winners and Losers, where we take a look at the highs and the lows of the football week just past. Joining me is MC Cubbin.
What's up?
Clap, 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 clap. How are you, sir? How was your weekend?
I'm good, yeah. Weekend was good. Went up to Bury, did a little shoot for a video that will be coming away in the not too distant future. So that was fun. And then Sunday I just chillaxed and watched the United game, which was mad. What about yourself?
Yeah, if you don't know about Journeymen, then get to know. Go and watch the one on Notts County. I was on Football Social Saturday, some drilling in the background. We're going to ignore that. We're going to power through. And then on Sunday, finish moving house, which is it's boring, isn't it? What a way to test a relationship. Talking of testing relationships, we're starting with Mourinho, who you were going to
transition.
Post an Instagram story about calling for him back at United, I heard, if you lost to Sheffield United last night. Ironically,
yeah.
or?
Ironically, yeah. Ironically, but you know.
Never know with you. Never know with you.
I just want an excuse to sing that Jose Mourinho song. You know, that one that Chelsea fan made up with his family. It's the cringiest, but also most brilliant thing on Twitter right now.
Who knows? George might put it in the edit.
So yeah,
let's go in with Jose Mourinho as our first winner, and it comes from Ewan McCall.
Yes.
What happened?
Well, obviously he got off to a winning start, didn't he, as Tottenham manager with a 3-2 win over rivals West Ham at the London Stadium. Goals from Son Heung-min and Lucas Moura gave the visitors a 2-0 lead in the first half before Kane added a third after the break. That's now his 8th goal in 9 appearances against the Hammers. Loves playing against the boys in claret and blue. And it also makes him the 3rd highest scorer in Tottenham history with 175 goals. Not sure who is above him. Let us know in the comments below. I'm assuming Jimmy Greaves is probably up there if I'm not wrong. But anyway, Antonio and Ogbonapol 2 back for the hosts, but it was too late to stage a comeback. Spurs won their first PL away game since January with that. Pretty crazy. So I did see that thing. Mourinho's 1-1 from 1. With Pochettino having,
the
not
same
one
from 13,
ridiculous.
I think it was against Fulham as well.
Yeah, I mean, great PR for Mourinho there. But anyway, back to West Ham. The result piles pressure, obviously, on Manuel Pellegrini, who has been in hot water recently. He's now only collected 2 points from the last 7 games. That is damning, considering the kind of investment that was going into that team in the summer.
And the start they had,
they did have a pretty good start as well, didn't they? Actually, good opportunity to plug here. FDPL, the latest video is how to fix West Ham.
Yeah,
That's presented by yourself, I'm assuming.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So go and check that out and give it a subscribe to FDPL. Can you give a subscribe to FDPL while you're at it?
West Ham in 5 minutes, so Pellegrini.
Yeah. Back to the man in the spotlight, though. Obviously, Mourinho seems to have made an impact. Don't know whether it's just Pochettino leaving and that kind of new manager bump, that kind of sense of relief. That may well be what it is. Mourinho in the interview afterwards was kind of heaping praise on the players, saying that he hasn't really done much. And what can you do really in 4 days other than just be a new face and maybe just breathe a little bit of new belief into that side. And he does have an excellent record in first games as manager. I think since losing his first game as manager of Benfica in 2000, he's won every single first game with the 8 clubs he's managed since. So it's just kind of carrying on that trend. And it was no fluke either. They were very good. 53% possession, 15 shots to West Ham's 11, 6 on target to 2. And the scoreline is actually maybe even a bit flattering for West Ham. XG had the game at 2.3 to 0.6 in Spurs' favour. So actually a very, considering how bad their away form has been in 2019, this was an emphatic victory away from home at a big rival as well. And like we were saying before, Mourinho had lots of praise for the players, seems very happy with their performance. Let's see what he had to say after the game.
I think we played very, very well for about an hour. Really, really well. And I'm very happy for the boys.
Yes, the feel-good factor is back around Tottenham, isn't it? The players looking rejuvenated out there against West Ham. None more so than Dele Alli, the 23-year-old, firmly back to his best in this 90 with 2 shots, 2 key passes, 5 tackles and interceptions, which was a team high, an assist and a lovely bit of skill in the build-up to Lucas Moura's goal.
So good.
It's like Eddie Gordo from Tekken out there, wasn't he? Son, probably man of the match though, with 3 key passes, 3 shots, and 88% pass accuracy and assist. And of course, that first goal straight through Roberto's crisp Packett's hands. He remains Spurs' leading scorer in all competitions with 19 in this calendar year. That's 1 more than Kane. As for West Ham, Pretty familiar story for them. Roberto poor once again. Should have kept out Son's strike and has conceded 19 now in his last 8 games. In comparison, Fabianski let in just 9 in his previous 8 matches before picking up that injury. Felipe Anderson as well, pretty non-existent after a decent start to the season in this game. No shots, no key passes, and was dribbled past 4 times in this game. His half-time replacement though, Mikel Antonio, came on and added some much-needed impetus with 3 dribbles, 3 shots, 1 key pass, and 6 touches in the box, only bettered by Seb Haller's 8. So, good news, I suppose, for West Ham fans that at least he's back. And his goal was extremely odd, wasn't it? I don't know how he's generated that much power falling into the strike almost. Doesn't get any easier for the Hammers from here on in as they play Chelsea away next weekend, while Mourinho takes on his first home game in North London as Spurs face Olympiacos on Tuesday. But are you guys convinced by Mourinho at home? Let us know in the poll above. Will he be the man to lead them to Champions League football?
Our first losers from the weekend are, of course, Everton, and in particular, Marco Silva. This comes from @LazyHobbit. What on earth has gone on at Goodison?
Absolute scenes. By the time this goes live, David Moyes may well be in charge. He may well be at the helm yet again at Goodison Park, with rumours that Marco Silva, his head is finally rolling. Anyway, yeah, things have gone from bad to worse at Everton, haven't they? With them losing 2-0 to Norwich at home. Todd Cantwell linking up with Timu Pukki to open the scoring before Dennis Srbeny, who is apparently a German forward despite having the most Czech name ever, scoring in injury time to confine Everton to their 7th defeat of the season. I believe, subsequently, his Wikipedia page has been changed to something along the lines of full-time big man sexy hunk. So shout out Dennis. And despite having 57% of possession and taking 18 shots, Everton, largely ineffectual, could not find a way through. Only put 7 on target, which generated an XG of 0.8, I believe. So didn't do all that much to trouble Tim Krul in goal. Only Cenk Tosun really coming close. Now for the Canaries, it was just their 2nd win since mid-September. It moved them to 18th on 10 points, just 4 points now off 15th place Everton. That's how bad it's got for Marco Silva. The Toffees have now lost 5 of their last 6 games against newly promoted sides. So, I mean, just having the lion's share of possession, having the most opportunities, but just so vulnerable on the counter. And these teams don't exactly have to put together a really scientific game plan to get at Everton, do they? Matches they should be really picking up points in. Now, an agitated Marco Silva post-game said he still wasn't considering the future of his job, despite how disgruntled, let's say, the crowd were following the 90. Let's hear from him now.
I'm not thinking in this situation to what I want is always the best for our team, for our club as well, for my players, for the fans as well. Of course, I'm really disappointed with the result. We didn't achieve what we wanted this afternoon. What has to be our aim every time, and of course, I'm the first one to be really disappointing this afternoon. I'm not thinking nothing more.
Yes, the crowd weren't happy, were they, at the end of the game, very much making their feelings known. And I feel like this has been coming for a while. There's been a lot of unrest among the Everton faithful, kind of almost since the start of the season, really. I just don't think Silva's done enough to convince Everton fans that he's the man for the job over the last few months, and obviously really came to a head with this kind of disastrous result. And one of the main reasons as well, like we touched upon earlier, is that Everton just are not scoring enough, not creating enough good opportunities. They actually rank 7th for expected goals in the Premier League with 18.6. In reality, they rank 15th for goals scored, though, on 13, which is 2 worse than Brighton. So perhaps they have been a bit unlucky, but you know, when you're spending that much on attacking players in the summer, you've got to be more clinical, or they've got to be more clinical. £74 million they spent on the trio of Moyes Keane, Cenk Tosun and Alex Iwobi. They've only managed 2 goals between them so far this season. Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison are the joint top scorers on 3. And considering Richarlison's start to the season, you would expect him to be bit better off, wouldn't you, by this stage? Defensively, they've been woeful as well, obviously conceding 20 goals against an expected goals of 14.9. So again, maybe a bit unfortunate, but considering how few shots they're conceding, which is 8.5. I think only Man City are conceding fewer shots per game in the league. This does suggest that they're giving up very, very good opportunities, lots of shots in the box. And that has much to do, I think, with obviously getting rid of Idris Gueye in the summer. Obviously, he's been fantastic at PSG and he really held that Everton team together, didn't he, in his 2 years at Goodison? Was it 2 years or was it 3 years? I think it was 2 years. But anyway, replacements just haven't been up to it, have they? Jean-Philippe Gbamin is still sidelined. Andre Gomez is also out long term. So they've had to rely on Morgan Schneiderlin and Fabian Delph, and they just haven't been good enough really. Only 3 other centre mids in the league have committed more fouls than Schneiderlin's 2 per 90 this season. His 3.5 tackles and interceptions per 90 is obviously considerably less than Idris Gueye last term. 6.9 he was clocking up at the end of last year. I think that was pretty much the best numbers for a DM in Europe, I believe. There may have been 1 or 2 around that, but Idris Gueye really was holding that midfield together, you know, kind of papering over the cracks in that defence last season, which did come in for a lot of praise, but now you can see that really Gueye was doing most of the work. If Silva isn't out today, then he may well be in the next 2 or 3 weeks, because Everton's next 3 league fixtures are against Leicester City, Liverpool and Chelsea. Collectively, those 3 teams have dropped 14 points in their last 10 Premier League games. So it doesn't look likely that with Silva at the helm, Everton are going to be getting much from that. Or even with Moyes at the helm, to be honest. I mean, whoever comes in next, if Silva is gone today or in the next few days or whatever, they've got quite a job on their hands to keep Everton out of the relegation zone before Christmas. But what do you reckon? Could David Moyes, if he comes in, do something with this Everton side? Let us know in the comments below. Let's move on.
Before we move on to our final winner then, if you're not a member of Team FD, what are you playing at? Click subscribe as displayed on screen now, turn notification bells on, and you'll never miss another winners and losers. Another great content like Journeymen. Get a grip. Wolves then are our next winners. They're our final winners, in fact, and it comes from Sychalik, something like that. Take over.
Yes, well, obviously they beat Bournemouth 2-1 away from home to move up to 5th in the Premier League table, despite this being only their 4th victory of the season. I think that just goes to show the lack of quality and management outside of the top 4 this season. It really has been atrocious, hasn't it? Aside from Liverpool, who are having maybe the best start any side has ever had to a league season, almost everyone else has been somewhat disappointing.
Well,
Leicester, actually, they've been pretty good, haven't they? And Chelsea.
Just heard that Liverpool have more points than Manchester United and Arsenal combined.
That says it all.
Has that ever happened after 13 games before?
Nah. Surely not.
Shocking.
Really is.
Sorry,
very shocking.
But
anyway, give Wolves some credit though. Obviously, this surge up the table comes after no wins in their first 6 games. That included September when they lost 3 on the bounce. Really did look like Nuno was under some pressure at the start of this season, didn't he? Wolves lingering around the relegation zone. It's been quite a turnaround because they're now unbeaten in 7 games. That's the Black Country side's longest ever run in the top flight, I assume that means. And it was their inventiveness from set pieces, actually, which secured all 3 points. Obviously, 33-year-old João Moutinho scoring a fantastic first goal of the season with that free kick from out wide. He's actually racked up the 2nd most minutes for Wolves this campaign after Conor Cody. He kicked things off in this game. He then teed up for Adama Traore with a pinpoint pass from a quick free kick to slide in Raul Jimenez for the 2nd. That was actually Adama Traore's 3rd assist of the season, and just as well because I've just put him in my fantasy team. He now has 5 goal involvements in 10 starts, or 1 every 184 minutes. What a turnaround from him, by the way. He's been fantastic on the right this campaign, hasn't he? And as a result of that 2nd goal, no Premier League player has scored more in all competitions than Raul Jimenez this season. How amazing is that? 14, level with Raheem Sterling. That came out of the blue. But unsurprisingly, it was Moutinho who was man of the match. 93% pass sack from centre mid, 69 passes, created 3 chances for his teammates. That's a joint game high. He also recorded 2 tackles and interceptions and won 3 aerial duels. So all round, a fantastic 90 minutes for the Portuguese midfielder. But Bournemouth, what's happening with them?
Who's losing aerial duels to João Moutinho in central midfield? Get a grip. Yes, this was my part of the script, and it was my task to find something interesting to say about Bournemouth in this game. Sadly, I failed, guys. All right, so tune out now, because what's coming up,
Don't do that.
not great. Bournemouth didn't have a had one shot, in the entire first half. And then captain Simon Francis sent off on 37 minutes after 2 bookable offences. It was the 34-year-old's first start in 11 months, captain on the day as well. I think he's still club captain, actually. Just doesn't play, does it, like we said. And his lack of game time was telling, unfortunately. We actually interviewed him way back when for Personal Mastermind, and he was a lovely guy. Certainly been around the block. They're actually a little bit better following his departure and the double substitution at half-time, which was Billing and Wilson off for Grunwald and Lerma, with the Cherries taking 8 shots in the second half alone. Now, Grunwald, he added some much-needed forward thinking, completing 5 dribbles in the second half alone. That was more than the rest of the Bournemouth side combined over the full 90. And I didn't know much about the 22-year-old, but apparently he's a Netherlands international. He arrived from Club Brugge in the summer for 16 mil. He's only started 1 game, making 5 sub appearances in the process. So Eddie Howe, if there's a silver lining in this game, it's that he came on and impacted it in a positive way, because that's a sizable fee for Bournemouth, and he'll be hoping to get a little bit more out of Grunwald as the season goes on. I mean, for all the impetus he brought to the side, 4 of Bournemouth's 8 second half efforts came from Nathan Ake and Cook in the second half. So a lot of set pieces, with the latter scoring on the hour mark to set up a somewhat nervy finish, actually, because Nathan Ake could have actually stolen his side a point in the last 10 minutes, but his acrobatic effort was right down the throat of Patricio, and he managed to keep it out. Now, this result leaves Bournemouth in 11th in the table, and that's, probably where they should be. They're a middling club. Eddie Howe, of course, linked with the Everton job as well. I actually think in the absence of Eddie Howe, Bournemouth would probably experience a bit of a freefall. Is Eddie Howe the man to guide Everton to European football? I'm a little bit unsure. What are your thoughts on that, very briefly?
I mean, he'd probably be a safer pair of hands than Marco Silva at the moment. I don't know. I'd really be interested actually to see how Eddie Howe does somewhere else. Obviously, I think he is that kind of perfect fit for Bournemouth. He's been there so many years. But yeah, as for what he'd bring to a side with a completely different dynamic, with a lot more
money,
higher paid players and whatnot, it's like kind of taking Sean Dyche out of Burnley. You just have no idea what would happen.
It can't happen. Sean Dyche has got to stay at Burnley. That's what we've learned from this section. Sean Dyche at Burnley forever. Yeah. But anyway, only 1 win in Bournemouth's last 5 games. So the Cherries need to turn this round quickly, don't they? Otherwise, they're going to probably just about avoid relegation again and again and again.
Our final losers come from at top 2, not second, and it is Unai Emery's Arsenal. Once again, they are in our losers.
Yeah, no doubt temps will make Arsenal the title, because apparently we are just AFTV now. I'd love to stop talking about Arsenal, guys, but they can't win a game, and it makes them so easy to put in our losers, doesn't it? 2-2 at home with 19th place Southampton, and they should have lost about 5-2. I was half watching the game next to Dave Jackson, and he didn't mutter a single word for 70 minutes. And when I looked up, he was just dead behind the eyes.
Poor guy.
They're now 8th, Arsenal. Both teams desperately needed 3 points in this game, didn't they, for very different reasons. Arsenal to, maintain pace with the Europa League spots, and Southampton just to survive in the Premier League. And this was reflected in the frantic opening exchanges. So Danny Ings fired the Saints ahead, didn't they, after a clever, quick free kick, albeit, the ball was moving, by Ryan Bertrand. That was Ings' 6th goal in the Premier League so far this season. He now needs 5 goals in the remaining 22 games to match that 14-15 Burnley Hull, that famous
vintage.
Burnley Hull, yes.
Didn't they get relegated that season? Pretty sure they did.
Maybe.
But anyway.
Probably. Then Lacazette eventually equalised with an instinctive finish. I say eventually, it happened pretty quickly, didn't it? Following good work on the left by Kieran Tierney, who George assures me was probably Arsenal's man of the match despite giving away a penalty, which we will discuss in a moment. Actually, let's discuss it now, because Ward-Prowse converted it, didn't he? The second time round. Pretty much embodied this game in one instance. Then in the 95th minute, Lacazette saves Emery's job, doesn't he, by equalising, much to every player's disappointment, it would seem, because the celebrations were extremely muted. I have not seen anything like that on a football pitch before. If your natural instinct is not just to celebrate in the face of a goal, something is very wrong.
I mean, it felt like that was a loss anyway,
Yeah.
It felt like, Southampton were like 4-1 up or something.
Yeah.
They just brought it back.
Obviously,
Very
the
odd.
crowd were flat. The expectation was to win, so the players know they're underperforming in this game, but just very desperate. Very, very desperate. Lacazette always produces at home, though, so the Frenchman has now scored 12 of his last 13 goals at the Emirates. In fact, 24 of his 31 Premier League goals have come on home turf. Defensively, Arsenal yet again shambolic, allowing 21 shots on their goal. Just to give you some context, Southampton normally generate 11.9 in any given Premier League 90. So Arsenal extremely porous in the face of very average opposition. Hector Bellerin in particular off the pace in this game had his side's worst pass completion rate, barring the two strikers, on 75%. He was dispossessed 3 times and was dribbled past 3 times in this game. Also, Arsenal now failed to win in 6 consecutive matches across all competitions, drawing 5 and losing 1. That's the first time that's happened since 1998, and they haven't won a league game. I know we've had a couple of international breaks, but they haven't won a league game now in 2 months. The Gunners have Norwich on Sunday, and anything other than a convincing victory will likely result in Emery sacking, to be fair. The board have come out and publicly backed him till the end of the season on numerous occasions, but the board probably anticipated, wins against Southampton, they will against Norwich, and his position may change if that's not the case, because at the minute, Manchester United's poor performances, Tottenham's poor performances, but we'll probably experience a bump under Jose, hiding Arsenal's awful points tally, aren't they?
Sure.
Let's hear what Emery had to say post-match.
I understand the supporters, they are now frustrated and they are disappointed and they are angry. And also now the players, they are feeling the same.
Yeah, not looking good for Emery, is it? Whatever he says post-match can't really cover up a kind of performance like that against one of the Premier League's weakest outfits.
Whipping
Southampton
boys.
really have not been very good, and it's kind of weird how it's not like Arsenal are losing against middling opposition. They're losing against teams who generally don't take many shots at all. Didn't they let in something like 22 shots against Burnley back in August at home?
Yeah, and there was
Watford
that
32
infamous match
away.
against Watford.
So
yeah.
it's just carrying on this really odd trend, and just goes to show just how poor they have been at the back. Southampton, on the other hand, though, give them some credit, because they did play fairly well in this game. They're definitely much improved from the side who lost 9-0 to Leicester at home not too long ago. And obviously they haven't won a league game since September as well. This could maybe be attributed to the fact that they finally reverted back to a 4-4-2 with 2 holding midfielders, which is a formation which has actually only seen them lose 1 of 5 when they've been set up that way this season. And obviously they should have won the game. XG had them at a whopping 2.6 to Arsenal's 1.6. And substitute Moussa Djenepo was once again very impressive. Should have probably scored 2 himself. One of those chances was created expertly by Sofiane Boufal, who gave Djenepo a free swing from 5 yards out. Somehow he failed to hit the target. Kind of 9 times out of 10 that would go in, wouldn't it? And another where he was only denied by Joe Willock, who cleared up from behind Leno on the line. Amazingly, Djenepo only played 11 minutes but had an XG of 0.8, which was better than any Arsenal player. In 11 minutes, got better opportunities than any Arsenal player. Lacazette was a 0.69, so not even that close to him. And Djenepo's average was also only second best in his team after Ward-Prowse, but obviously Ward-Prowse had 1.45 XG, but that was skewed by the penalty and the rebound. So what an impact Djenepo made. What a talent he is as well. Southampton have bottom-placed Watford next, a huge 6-pointer already, and they'll be hoping the former Standard Liège man can finish this time round, as he's actually scored the winner in the only 2 league games they've won so far. So a real talisman for them, despite, 2 wins, not great so far. But anyway, shall we just move on to the end board?
Yeah, let's do it.
Should
Let's do it. I mean, if you made it past Arsenal Southampton, then, drop us a line on Twitter to say that Djenepo is king. Hashtag Djenepo is king. And if you watch this, then go and watch Stat Wars, because that's heating up, isn't it?
It is.
It's all coming to a head. Obviously, Journeymen. We've had a few podcasts come out in the last couple of weeks as well. We're actually striving to make that weekly now, firmly on it. Anything else, Michael?
I think you've basically covered it all. Go over to Squad Goals and check out us playing FIFA as well, if you like that kind of thing. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.